Hello, I'm Jackie Ware,
And I'm Brooks Saye.
and you're watching On Air with Jackie Ware. Welcome. Today's episode is all about the moment a prospect steps on site and decides almost instantly whether the community feels like home. Because a tour isn't just a showing, it's a first promise. It's the experience that either builds confidence or creates doubt, often before a single question gets answered. And in the market where people move quickly and expectations are high, the details are more and more important than ever. I'm joined here by Brooks Saye, VP of Sales at Tour 24, and we're breaking down what makes a tour feel seamless, intentional, and genuinely memorable. All right, Brooks, why don't we start off with your background? Tell us a little bit about your career path and what brought you into the self-guiding tour world.
Yeah, so I always, kind of say real estate was definitely in my blood. I grew up around it more specifically on the construction side. And then I actually started out as a leasing agent when I was 18, just at a mom and pop community in Athens, Georgia, and kind of fell in love with the property management aspect of the business. And so I ended up changing my major at Georgia. They have a residential property management program, which I cannot recommend enough. I really feel like it set me on the path that I'm on today. And I definitely never felt like I was going to end up in technology. Out of college, I worked for an operator out of Atlanta, and then my network brought me over to the tech side of the business. And now that I'm here, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else or doing anything different. And I think because I've been on site, I understand the day to day pain points that they experience. I know what it's like to juggle tours and phones ringing, residents at your desk, maintenance issues, packages, all of it. And so when the opportunity to join Tour 24 came up over 5 years ago now, which is crazy, it just felt really like a perfect fit. I think that there's a disconnect between how we think prospects shop for apartments and how they actually do. And so self guided touring allows us to control the narrative and the experience while still giving prospects the self service that they're demanding.
So you found your passion.
Yes.
Wonderful. I think everybody in multifamily has a little bit of a similar story where things start to happen by happen chance, right? I started as a leasing agent as well.
Yes.
So I love that path. And you went from construction to tech,
Yes.
technically.
Yeah. I mean, like when I was little, I used to walk job sites with my dad, and now here I am selling touring technology. So,
Well, you're touring then and you're touring now, just in
yes.
an elevated way.
Yes, exactly.
So what types of portfolios are you most often supporting?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that I love most about Tour 24 is that we truly can work with any property type. So, we have a wide range of communities that are live with Tour 24. There is a value proposition for almost any asset type in any market. I've learned that it's really less about the building and more about the mindset of the operator. We work best with teams that really want to meet the prospects where they're at. And sometimes that's out of necessity. Maybe they just can't make it while your office is open and they need to come outside of business hours, or maybe they're a Gen Z renter and their biggest fear is talking to a salesperson. So it's really just about that priority of meeting prospects where they're at.
I love that. So, what are the first three things prospects are evaluating in the first few minutes on site, even if they don't realize it? Like, what does your data tell us?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a stat from apartments.com that I love, and it's that 65% of today's prospects are only physically looking at one community before choosing to lease. They've done all their research, they've talked to their friends, they've looked at your virtual tours. So when they show up to your property, they're like, okay, tell me why I shouldn't live here. I call it the zero moment of truth zombed factor.
I love that.
Yes, I love it. And so it's really just kind of making sure that we're actually convincing them to live there. So I would say the three things that a prospect is looking for is they're evaluating consistency. Does the in-person experience match what they saw online or what they heard from a friend? Do the photos, websites, and reviews align with what it feels like when they actually step foot onto your property? The second is ease and urgency. Was it easy to find? Was parking clear? Was their time respected? Whether that's an agent guided tour or a self guided option. And the third is trust. Does the place feel cared for, clean, intentional? What does their gut tell them in those first few minutes of being there? Because once trust is there, everything else really just gets easier.
That's completely true. I mean, I shop properties still to this day all the time. And
Hmm.
without even really realizing that, I am evaluating those things. And I think one thing that I really appreciate just when I'm touring is really the convenience factor,
Hmm.
as you mentioned. I've never really thought about that, but when I have to search for a leasing office or search for somebody to show me around or search to find the tour, the self-guiding kiosk, I'm frustrated.
Exactly.
And then I'm already having a bad impression and no one's even done anything yet.
Yes.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think it's important that, even though renting an apartment is a much bigger decision than, checking out at the grocery store or ordering, more shampoo on Amazon, it's still the same like thought process of consumers today of very much so want what they want when they want it. So as long as you're removing those barriers to entry for them, it's going to become a seamless experience that most likely is going to end in a lease.
Love it. If you could design the ideal tour journey um, around arrival to exit, what should the flow look like?
I love this question. And again, it just kind of goes back to what you were just saying that the best tours don't feel overcomplicated. They feel super obvious. So you arrive immediately, you know you're in the right space. There's clear branded signage. Signage is so key,
Hmm.
showing you not only just where to park, but where the office is and exactly how to start your tour, whether again, that's self guided or agent led. Personally, and often with Tour 24, we like to guide the prospects through the amenities first and then really let the unit shine. So we're able to show them the lifestyle of your community and then their potential space. So there's actually a community here in Atlanta, and it was designed specifically with the opportunity for self-guided tours in mind. So all of the amenities are very close to the office. They actually have a model that's separate from the rest of the units, just so it's a very quick and seamless tour for the prospect. And I think as our industry continues to evolve and continues to be very focused on how today's and tomorrow's prospects are touring, we're going to continue to see more and more communities developed with self-guided tours in mind.
I think that's a great perspective and a great thing for developers to
Mhm.
start considering. And as we partner with our development partners, I think that I would definitely recommend, trying that out to make
Mhm.
sure it's a good flow and to see if we can get better results and maybe even cut back on some of the payroll on site if we could have more self-guided tours to fill those spaces.
Exactly. I think our average tour is 16 minutes. So people really love to get in and out. And so anything that you can do to ensure that they're able to see your entire community in a very quick time frame is crucial.
Do you guys have demographics on your self-guided tours? Is it more of a younger, or is it, what are the demographics looking like for it?
No, absolutely. So we do track demographics. Gen Z is our most popular tour these days, just because I think that they are the most. I think they're the highest number of renters right now. But shockingly, again, kind of going back to the question on which communities we work on, like we have a lot of senior housing live with Tour 24 as well as student housing. So it just kind of everybody appreciates self service.
Okay. From an owner's perspective, where do you see self-guiding touring create the biggest financial impact? Higher conversions, shorter vacancy days, stronger pricing power, or something else? Where do you think it really is?
Honestly, it really comes down to speed. So, speed to tour, speed to decision, speed to lease. When prospects can tour outside of traditional business hours, you're capturing demand that simply just doesn't exist between 9 to 5. I think that's always something that I found really interesting about our industry is that we're working when our client base is working. And we all love renters that have jobs. So, we want to make sure
Great
that.
statement.
Yes, exactly. So we see a huge percentage of tours happening outside of business hours. We also see a lot of our partners closing on weekends, and both of those have been really eye-opening for
Mhm.
owners because one, it shows when prospects actually want to engage, and then two, it kind of goes back to what you were just saying on payroll savings. It's equally as important to close on the weekends, not only for your teams, but also because it does kind of help offset that cost. You're able to give your teams more of a traditional work week, so you're able to retain more top talent. And so when teams are happier and they feel more supported long term, you naturally are going to see less turnover. And I think that's one of those savings that owners may not notice immediately, but they'll absolutely feel over the long term.
I agree. What are the best owner level KPIs to evaluate tour strategy performance?
So we look at a variety of KPIs, and one of the most important is scheduled to completed tours. If someone schedules a tour, are they actually showing up and completing it? From there, tour to application conversion is important. I don't love to over index on it that alone because our focus really is more on getting more tours through the door and letting the experience do its job. And then, kind of going back to the last question, owners really appreciate the visibility into the outside of business hours tours. 59% of all Tour 24 tours are happening when your office is closed, whether
Wow.
that's before your office opens or after it's closed for the day. And so I really think that gives our industry a clear lens into how prospects are wanting to tour and wanting to engage with us.
What are you seeing, as an average on the most time people are coming in? I know you said before or after. Is it
Yeah.
before? I know there was a statistic several years ago where people were touring at 7 a.m.
hmm
What is it today?
So our most popular tour day is Saturday. So I think 27% of our tours last quarter happened on a Saturday. Most of those are actually happening before 10 a.m. So
Okay.
Saturday mornings and then Tuesday evenings, funny enough, I think people just like they got through Monday and then they want to check it off on their to-do list on Tuesday. So that's really what we see. We see a lot of Tuesday evening tours and Saturday morning.
All right. Risk and compliance are at top of mind for all of our clients here, and I'm sure everybody in the industry. What are the most important safety, fraud prevention? As you mentioned, everybody wants somebody with a job, and liability considerations.
Yeah, so honestly, that's probably the most important topic of conversation around self-guided tours, and it's one that, as you can imagine, comes up in any conversation that we're having. I do think it's worth acknowledging that some form of self-guided touring has existed in our industry for a long time. On-site teams, especially when they're stretched thin or maybe they're just having a bad day, they might think that they're being helpful and they'll just take an ID and hand a key over to a prospect and let them see a unit.
Absolutely not.
Yes, but it is happening everywhere. And so I think that that's really where Tour 24 comes in and we're able to bring structure and consistency to that experience because we do prioritize the identity verification, clear agreement to the Tour 24 terms and conditions, and a defined tour path and a controlled tour path. So access is intentional, it's documented, and every single tour experience is repeatable. And then during onboarding, just to kind of mitigate risk, we do require a test tour to ensure that the tour flow, access points, and the experience are set up correctly from that risk
Oh, that's
management
great.
standpoint. So that way, every single prospect goes through the same process, regardless of time or day or staffing levels. So we really see that when self guided tours are handled this way and with a partner, it's not about adding risk, it's more about reducing it while
Hmm.
also supporting teams and delivering a better experience for your prospects.
Wonderful. So, what are some of the biggest small details that create a premium welcoming a touring experience?
So clarity beats everything. So clear instructions, clear signage, nothing left up to guesswork. Self-guided tours should truly be treated the same way as agent-led tours. Walking the tour path daily, making sure the lights are on and amenities are clean, and that you have a way to handle outside of business hours tours with the lighting specifically.
Mm.
All of those details tell the prospect like you matter and we were ready for you to tour.
And Tour 24 walks you through that, really helps.
Yes.
You partner and they really make sure that you have all of those little checklist items taken
Yes,
care of.
exactly. So we have best practices that we enable all of our partners with. We have a client success team that's fully dedicated to support everyone who's partnered with Tour 24, which I think really contributes to the success that we're able to see.
Love it. So, what are the must haves inside the apartment to make it show the best every time, especially when it's vacant?
Yeah. So lighting is number one always. I feel like that kind of goes back to the basics. Temperature is a really sneaky one. So we have a quality control audit program and we deploy essentially secret shoppers to take all of our tours. And I've gotten that feedback on a couple of them that they were like, wow, it was like really hot in there, really
Hmm.
cold. So I always like to think of temperature, like making sure that somebody actually feels comfortable when they walk into a unit. And then a clean, neutral scent that's like not too overpowering. Also, one of my favorite examples is that one of our student housing partners, they actually ask a prospect in their guest card what their favorite snack is.
That's
And then they
fun.
have the snack waiting for them with a handwritten note, like, but while while they walk into the unit before they tour. So I always like to remind people that you can still be thoughtful, even if a prospect is choosing to tour self-guided.
Oh, that's a great point, and absolutely love that little customized
Hmm.
extra step.
Yes.
How should communities think about showcasing amenities so prospects feel the value, not just see the space?
Exactly. So I think it's playing up the experience rather than just like this is a room. So instead of here's the gym, okay, next, it's this is where your morning could start. Maybe you mentioned that you have workout classes or community events. And then, instead of just pointing out a dog park, maybe you ask if they have a pet, ask if what their pet's name during the tour experience. These are all questions that we can ask the prospect through the Tour 24 experience. You could talk about the Pet of the Month program or just how residents connect there. So it's really about helping prospects imagine their life and not just seeing square
So
footage.
you can still really customize the experience through it.
Yes, exactly. So we can ask them questions. We also just launched our conversational AI, which exists within the tour. It's called Tori, which I love that
Love it.
name.
Great.
Yes. And so prospects are even allowed to or able to engage with Tori during the tour experience. So if they have additional questions that maybe weren't answered during the tour, they would be able to ask.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
So let's talk about green flags versus red flags, which I love it. I have a little red flag I do all the time. So, what are the top green flags that build instant confidence and make prospects feel ready to take the next step?
Yes, so making everything easy. Kind of just going back to what we said a couple minutes ago about we're just in this world of people want what they want when they want it. So whatever you can do to make it easy for them, easy to arrive, easy to start their tour, easy to move through the tour, and easy to take the next step. Which is one thing that I really love about our tour experience is that it kind of operates just as a leasing agent would with that call to action of actually asking them to lease, giving them the opportunity to go ahead and apply before they even exit the tour experience. So when prospects feel like things are easy, they're going to assume that living there is going to be easy too.
Good point. What are the most common red flags that create doubt or kill momentum?
There's a lot of conversation about this right now, especially on LinkedIn. In sales, we say time kills all deals, and that absolutely applies to leasing. So if a prospect has to wait, if they get turned away, if they feel like they're just an inconvenience to you, they can't get access to a unit, or they walk into a messy space, doubt starts to creep in, and that's really hard to undo. I always say in property management that we get two chances at a first impression when a prospect tours and then when they come back to move in. But if they never feel confident enough to lease, then they're not going to make it to move in day.
I love that. I love the two opportunities for a first impression. I've never heard it said that way, and I think that's very memorable.
I appreciate that.
How do top performing teams create a consistent tour experience across different days, time blocks, and staffing scenarios?
Yes. So today's consumer does not want to wait. So whether they are ordering something on Amazon, they're buying a car, or renting an apartment, as crazy as it sounds, urgency is truly king. But urgency really only works if teams treat technology like a teammate and not a tool sitting on the sidelines. And especially with self guided tours, that consistency across the days, times, and staffing comes from the alignment between the people that you have on site and working with that system. And then being able to feel like they trust the self guided touring partner to really operate as a teammate and to handle the tours and still handle the experience that they would provide to the prospect. So when teams trust the technology and the tech supports the team, the experience stays consistent no matter the day or the time or the staff.
All right. And I think that makes it scalable.
Hmm.
And I love that you mentioned, I love this is another thing I love that you said, but that it's a tool, it's a teammate, not a tool.
Yes,
And I think that that's, really, really great. I want to remind our teams of that actually. I'm going to use that as a takeaway.
I love that.
It's a teammate. If an owner is choosing between investing in more on site staffing, stronger automation, or a hybrid approach, how do you recommend they evaluate the best path for their asset?
Yes. So I almost always lean in on a hybrid approach. And there's definitely going to be assets that benefit from more automation and others that feel like they might need more human touch. So it's not a one size fits all. And it depends on the submarket, the renter profile, and the operational reality of a site. Like they might could benefit from more human touch, but maybe they don't have the budget to. So they need to find the right tools in place. And so, kind of going back to that last question, I really feel like the best outcomes happen when people are focused on connection and technology is focused on consistency. And so, when those two work together, both the prospect experience and the experience for your on site teams are going to improve.
Wonderful. Well, those were all of the questions that we have today. Is there any final statements you want to leave us with?
No, just thank you so much for having me. It's been great chatting with you.
Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing a little bit about self guided and how we can all be better at it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Brooks.